New at noon today, Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi is in Texas right now visiting the border, continuing her fight to overturn President Trump's emergency declaration. Right now, she's speaking to students at the Texas A&M University campus in Laredo. And that's where we find border reporter Oscar Margain. Oscar, can you tell us what Speaker Pelosi is doing there?
That's right. Well, Pelosi was invited by the Student Government Association to address students, and it's a packed house right now. She's still speaking. She's accompanied by Democratic Congressman Henry Cuellar here from Laredo, and she's touched on a variety of subjects from border security to immigration, healthcare, gun control, and international commerce. Now, here with me is Adrian Salcedo from the Student Government Association. Now, Adrian, tell us what has the speaker said that's really resonated with you?
Well, thank you very much for having me today. One of the things that has inspired me, or something that stood out with me today, was the international commerce that she was talking about, making the points here in Laredo, especially because we are Laredo. Now, being Laredo, being the border town here in the state of Texas and other few towns, we also are expected to grow as an economic growth as a city. Now, here in Laredo, this is one of the biggest historical moments to have Pelosi here right now, as you mentioned, right now being her in the House speaking here back of us. It has truly been a wonderful experience, which once again, her passion on politics and her way to approach students politics here in Laredo stood out to me here today.
Thank you so much, Adrian. And of course, Speaker Pelosi will also be attending some fundraisers. She will also be touring the ports of entry. There's at least two of them. Some of the busiest here in the country. She's also said she wants to strengthen border security at the ports of entry. She will also be having a press conference after 3 o'clock, and be sure we will be there asking some more questions. For now, reporting live in Laredo, Oscar Margain, KENS 5 Eyewitness News.